I'm Holly Kovo from Fitting Fitness Inn, and welcome to Get Healthy with Holly. Today we're out at Shelburne Farm Orchard in Stow, Massachusetts, and we're going to have a fun day with apples. So the theory today, or the theme today, is an apple a day. This orchard, and it's huge. They have over 10,000 trees here. They have over 83 different varieties of apples, and now is the time to come apple picking. Not only is it great to do apple picking, but you get a little exercise as you come out. When you buy a bag here, you're going to buy either a peck bag, which weighs about 10 pounds when you fill it, or a half bushel bag, which weighs around 20 pounds. And I don't know if you know this, but most orchards are all on hills. So you're going to be walking uphill, carrying those bags, and getting a great workout. But let's talk about apples. And I just have a few notes here because I went on their website to look at all the different varieties of apples that they have here. 82 different varieties. Right now, the most popular one is Gala, but there is a Honeycrisp coming up as close second. And Honeycrisp are very sweet and crunchy, and that's a big popular one. Although popular with the locals, and I am a local, is the Macallan, which is also great. The apple season runs from September to through October, and then different apples ripen at different times. So the first apples to ripen in the end of August are here. They have Zestar, Ginger Gold, Sansa, Sweeties, and Acanes. And then in September, the Gala, the Macintosh, Ginger Gold, and Zestars. The Honeycrisp come available around the first week in September. And then the last apples to ripen, or at the end, are Evercrisp, Brayburn, Fuji, Pink Lady, Golden Delicious, and Empire. So that takes everybody through the end of October. You can also pick pumpkins here. We'll do a little shot of the pumpkin patch. But what sets the different apples apart from each other? Some of the things are the skins. Either you have a red skin or you have a green skin. By the way, we don't have Granny Smith apples in New England. Those are usually grown out in Washington, the state of Washington. Everybody thinks that you can get Granny Smith here, but that's not an apple that we grow here in New England. Usually when you buy apples in bulk, you buy a bushel. And a bushel is about 40 pounds of apples. So we're going to take a little walk down here to take a look at some of the different apple trees and what it's like in our orchard. So let's take a little walk and see what we can find. So as you can see here, down at the end of this aisle, you see that windmill? Most people think that that windmill is for energy generation, but it's not. They have those windmills for in the spring. If there is a frost, they put those windmills on, and I can hear them because I live on that side of the orchard. And it keeps the air flowing so the frost doesn't settle on the leaves or the buds. Because if it settles on the buds, it's going to kill the bloom, and then they won't bear apples. So that's what those windmills are for. Not for generating electricity. So it's kind of nice when they do go. I hear them. It starts at probably about 3:30 in the morning and kicks in, but most of the neighbors are all used to it, and just kind of sounds like a little helicopter flying over. So you can climb the trees using these special ladders, If you notice, they're wide at the bottom and then they get smaller at the top. You don't really want to climb the actual branches because you can break them, but you can climb up on one of these ladders to reach the apples at the top of the tree. When you go apple picking, there is a particular way that you should pick an apple so that it doesn't ruin the tree. You pick an apple, you hold that apple in the palm of your hand, and you twist it. If it's ripe and ready, it falls right off the tree, just like this one did. And it doesn't pull any leaves or any branches off. You don't want to damage the tree because if you do that, it won't bear fruit on that branch again. So again, you just grab it, ball of your hand, twist it, and if it's ready, it'll come off. Oops. I want you to notice all these apples on the ground. These are drops. So some of these are people trying to pick apples and then dropping them, but some of them are naturally coming down when the apples are ripe. And are they wasted? No, because what used to happen is the Boy Scouts came and picked them up and brought them to food pantries. But now churches, local churches in the area come and pick them and give them to people in their parish that have a need for food. And they bring them to the local pantries. So the drops are not wasted. They are used as much as possible. I actually help out here because we live right down the street. And so my whole family helps out here. And I learned so much about apples, that each different variety has a different taste or a different crunch or a different, whether they're tart or they're sweet. But what I love is that I use apples in everything. I use apples in my salad, I make baked apples, I make apple sauce, yeah, apple crisp, apple pie. I'm not so big on those as much as I am on the baked apples, but it's apples everything. All right, so again, orchards are built on hills, so it's a great workout. You want to make sure though that you wear good shoes. Right now it's a little wet, so I have my LL Bean duck boots. If you can see at the top of the hill, that barn-looking building, that's the old blacksmith barn from Stow. And when they did the renovations, they had to move it. And so they moved the whole barn all the way up here into the orchard, and they use the barn up here now. So it was a way of saving a historic building. I think he bought it for $1, but he had to pay for it to be transported, which meant moving telephone lines and everything. So it was a bit of a challenge, a costly one. Okay, we're gonna come up over here into what's called the spindle trees. And what they do is they have the trees grow up on wires. You see how they're grown and they're across and supported by these wires? So the trees don't grow out as much, they grow up and they bear a lot more fruit. And that's the new technology. This is the way the newer orchards are growing their apples. And this is how they can introduce new brands and new varieties in their orchard quite easily. They also do grafting. So if you can look at the bottom there, that bulb, they may have grafted that top onto a bottom root from a different type of apple, and that's how they combine and make different varieties of apples. So these are the blondies. You can see that these have the yellow tint skin to them. These are a newer brand or a new variety in the past few years, but they're very popular. Let's head over there where the peaches are, although it's past peach time right now, but they have some really great peaches. The peaches are early in September, so you want to get here. And this year, those peaches were big and juicy. These are the peach trees. You can see the different type of leaves. They're also a little thicker on the bottom. There are still some peaches on the ground. One thing I also want you to notice, the fence there, that's a deer fence. That's up, that's really high, so the deer can't jump over. You'd be surprised how much the deer can ruin a crop. So they put that deer fence all the way around the orchard to protect the trees. All right, that's our show in the orchard. Now we're going to take it into the apple shop and see what they have there. So let's take it into the apple shop. So in the apple shop, We have all sorts of apples, different varieties, and they're already picked and in bags if you don't feel like going out to the fields to pick. Oh, look. This could be my next apron for my next cooking segment. Apple apron. So for baking apples, you want specific apples for baking, and the most popular one is Cortland. Cortland is a great baking apple. You don't want to bake with Macintosh because they kind of get mushy. But if you mix Cortland and McCowan, it's a great mixture of apples for a pie or a crisp. All right, here we are over at these pink pearls. Something you may not know, apples are actually part of the rose family. So they're in the family of roses, and when you open up this pink pearl, look at it. It looks just like rose petals. Here we are in the kitchen segment of an Apple a Day episode, and I'm going to make two different recipes with apples. The apples are donated by Shelburne Farm, and today I'm going to be working with Cortland and McCowan apples. I'm going to make a Waldolf salad, and I'm going to make it as a salad, and I'm going to make it as a meal, and I'm going to make it as a dessert. So there's so many different things that you can do with a Waldolf salad. So we start with, of course, apples. So first I'm going to make the meal. So these apples, I did squeeze a little bit of lemon, and I put some lemon on there to keep them from turning. So we're going to start with the apples. So these are 2 Cortland apples and 2 McCowan apples. Now a lot of times people use Granny Smith and Red Delicious. What you want to do is use a sweeter apple and then a more tart apple, so that you have that mixture of tastes and inside your salad. So I've already done the lemons on there, and now I'm going to add some celery. So this is 2 celery ribs chopped up, and walnuts, and this is 3/4 cups of chopped walnuts. This one I think I'm going to use the cranberries, but you can use the raisins. That's up to you. I prefer cranberries. So I'm going to put those in. And you can also add grapes. So I'm using red grapes mostly because that's what my husband likes, but I would normally use green grapes because that adds a little bit more tartness to it, but the red grapes are a little sweeter and they have color in there. So I'm going to throw in here a 1/2 cup of grapes. I'm going to mix this up because this is the base of the Waldolf salad. This is the base where it has everything mixed in. Okay, so here we have that. Now, I'm going to just put some of it in this bowl to use for a salad, to use for a dessert later on, and I'll show you why. So that's going to be our dessert. This is going to be our salad. Now, you can have just this and add some mayonnaise. Most people call for mayonnaise, but I'm going to use plain fat-free yogurt because it's a little healthier. So I'm going to put that in here and mix it up. Now, this is the basic Waldorf salad. And so you can have just this as your salad. But for me, if I want to make it a meal, I have to add a little bit more to it. Oh boy, this looks good. All right, so that's your basic Waldorf salad. And so to make it a meal, I'm going to add some grilled chicken. So this is a cup of grilled chicken, and that I'm going to add to it so it can be more of a meal. This could be my lunch. Or without the chicken, could be a side salad. And what we're going to do later is make it more of a dessert. Okay, that looks great. Some people actually throw a little bit of cinnamon in I think that's a little too sweet. Maybe for the salad, for the dessert part, I would do that, but to make it for a meal, I don't think I want cinnamon in there. When you make this meal with the fat-free yogurt as opposed to mayonnaise, it's about 250 calories. It has 26 grams of fat, 142 milligrams of sodium, has 11 sugars and 2 fibers, but 3 grams of protein without the chicken, and add that chicken in, it's about 20 grams of protein. So that's a great one. Now, we're gonna put it on a plate, we're gonna plate it, and in order to make it a meal, I'm just gonna add some of this salad, this lettuce. In this case, it's romaine lettuce. And then we'll plate some of this right on top, so that it's a meal. It's a good meal, it's a good lunch, or even a dinner. The nice thing is that when you're making a Waldolf salad, it's really great to put it in the refrigerator and chill it, and it's even better after you've chilled it. So this is great, you can have it for leftovers as well. So that's the meal version of the Waldolf salad. Okay, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a dessert version. So I'm just gonna push this over here. Use the same basic mix, but instead I'm gonna use Cool Whip. Cool Whip instead of yogurt. It's a little sweeter, which makes it a little bit more of a dessert than a salad or a meal. So some people are Waldolf salad people, some people are not. If you don't like just the plain yogurt, you can add maybe a teaspoon of honey in there and sweeten it up a little bit. But now, this is maybe I put a little too much of the Cool Whip, but we're going to make that into a dessert. A healthy dessert, by the way. Okay, so that's how you take your basic Waldolf salad and make it into a meal, a side salad, or a dessert. So that's a great way to use these apples. And now we're going to take it over and take a look at some baked apples that I've been baking in my slow cooker crock pot. Here we are with our slow cooker, and I've made some baked apples. Now, I didn't bother to show you everything. I started it early this morning and they're already cooked. But what I have is some baked apples, and these are Cortland's because Cortland's are the best apples to use when you're baking. And I'm not sure. So you can see in here I have 5 apples, and I peeled just a third around the edge and I cored them. And inside of that little core hole, I have some dried cranberries, some brown sugar, some pecans, some chopped pecans, a little cinnamon and nutmeg. And then in here is some cider, a little brown sugar, and then whatever has fallen from the apples. So this is a great, healthy dessert. And you put it in here and you cook it at low for 2.5 to 3 hours, or even a little longer if you want them softer. And it's a great dessert, and it's quick and easy. So let me pull out one of these apples. So by the way, I have some little fun facts, apple fun facts for you. And then we want to drizzle some of this on here. And did you know that the apple tree originated between the Caspian and Black Sea? And the first apples planted in the U.S. were planted right here in Massachusetts Bay Colony. The first apples that were actually exported in, 1768. They were sent to Benjamin Franklin in London. And that was the Newton Newton-Pippin apple. Oh my goodness, say that 3 times fast. The Newton-Pippin apple. The world's largest apple peel, I think I said in the earlier episode, was done by a 16-year-old girl, and it was 172 feet and 4 inches long, which is 52 meters. So I don't know how she peeled that, maybe with a very tiny peeler, but that was quite the record. Some other things, some nice things about the nutritional facts with apples. Apples are loaded with vitamin C, and half of that apple's vitamin C is right underneath the peel, right underneath the skin. So you don't want to peel all the skin off, because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck on that apple. That's also where the fiber is found. And apples contain insoluble fiber, which is really great for your digestive system. They also have pectin. That's the nutrient that helps prevent cholesterol from building up in the lining of your blood vessels. So it helps prevent heart disease. You know the saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It certainly is true. Apples have antioxidant benefits that can help with your respiratory system and lowers the risk of asthma. There was a study done on 2,500 middle-aged men in Wales that found it improved lung function among those who ate an apple a day. That was done by the University of California in Davis. Also, a study was done in Brazil that added 3 apples a day to a woman's diet and helped lower their caloric intake and then contributed to their weight reduction. Now, you also have to exercise, you also have to eat right, but adding an apple is a great way to help lose weight. It fills you up so you eat less. Then the American Institute of Cancer Research recommends eating lots of fruits and vegetables, including apples, because the antioxidant content of the apples ranks among the highest for fruit. And in research, it shows that those antioxidants can help prevent cancer. So those are some great nutritional information about apples. Apples, the biggest apple ever picked was over 3 pounds, which is kind of cool. And the apples will ripen faster when you leave them at room temperature. So if you want them to stay longer, you want to put them in the refrigerator. So here we have this nice baked apple, and you can eat it just like that, or since we have the Cool Whip from earlier, you might want to add a little Cool Whip to it to make it a nice dessert. Okay, so here we have our baked apple for dessert. We have our Waldolf salad, this one with chicken, so it's a meal. And we have our Waldolf salad with, we don't want to go too far with that, as a dessert with our Cool Whip. So 3 different ways that you can have apples, 3 healthy ways and fun. So go out there, go apple picking, get some different kinds of apples and experiment and try new things with your apples. Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So I want to thank Shelburne Farm for allowing me to walk through their orchard and show you their orchard. I want to thank them for donating these apples. And go out there, go apple picking. It's still early. You can go out. Next weekend is actually the biggest weekend that there is, so help yourself out there in the fields. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Get Healthy with Holly.